Welcome to this episode of A Facilitator's Journey. Today I'm talking to Dani Blue, a facilitator, trainer, model, actress, musician, and a swimming instructor. Dani came to Facilitation just 3 years ago. And as she said, this was another change, not a pivot, because she still does the other things. So this was another string she was adding to her bow. But it was a big life punt for her, a big change and a shift, because she wasn't sure that she could do the role of a facilitator. So this is a conversation where she talks about her past, bringing her to her present, all the skills that she's learned along the way, and then her journey into facilitation. The skills, the knowledge, how she's accumulated all of that in the last 3 years, how she found her first jobs, and how she's just trusted herself and followed the different threads. So this is your invitation. Get a cup of tea, tune in your ears, pull up a seat and come join me here. Enjoy this episode. Hey, Dani.
Hey, Kirsty.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Welcome to A Facilitator's Journey, the SOF podcast.
Absolute pleasure to be here, by the way. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Oh, no. I think we need to, we'll come to all of this, but I mean, I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness, that I'm sitting with an actress, a model, former life, present life, part of your blend. But Dani, I always ask a question to start us off, which is,
Yes.
How do we know one another?
I can't remember if I directly called you or if I emailed you, but I came across your website and I was looking for information on this new crazy thing called Facilitation that I didn't know an awful lot about, but was very interested in. Came across I heard your name, went to SOF's website, found the Flourishing Facilitator workshop, I think, and thought, oh, that might be interesting. And then we spoke on a call.
How long ago was that?
2.5 years or 3 years?
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years, and then 2.5 years ago we started the workshop, I think.
Yeah. And let's help people understand, how long have you been a facilitator, Dani, or a trainer?
Well, that's the question that you asked me, because I know on the website it said this is for experienced facilitators. Some people have 10 years experience, some people maybe 4, some people, maybe a lifetime. And you asked me, how long have you been facilitating? And I said, I have not been facilitating. I have never facilitated a session at all. And I'm really, that was your reaction, yeah. Of which I was really keen to find something. I couldn't really find anywhere to sit in on or to watch or to really learn. I had a rough idea of what this was. The thing that led me there was some friends in corporate saying to me, you'd make a really good facilitator. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was trying to find out what that was, came across you, and then I think the conversation was trying to figure out whether it was appropriate for me to jump on your workshop or not. So I think from my point of view, it's very much like, if it's okay, if you'll have me, but if it's not, because I'm not experienced, and I won't speak on your behalf, but your version was like, I think you said something to me like this isn't what I normally do. That it's for experienced people to add layers to their experience already. But there was something I said that you said, but I have a feeling. I think you mentioned growth mindset. Like you seem like yes, and the reasons I gave for being on the call with you. Yeah. And I'd never heard of the word growth mindset, because why would I? Because I don't come from a corporate facilitation background. But I knew exactly what you meant. And I think maybe that's... So my punt was going on something, or my risk paying for something that would be another small course that I did of something I might be interested in that didn't work out, that was fun, it was good, but nothing came from it.
Oh, how wrong you were. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
How wrong you were. Because for context, you've heard Dani say she's been a facilitator and a trainer now for 3 years. We can say that, or you might say 2 years, whatever you choose. And before that, Dani had a whole other life, which is still going on. And we're going to talk about all of this in a moment. But I took the punt because Flourishing Facilitator, which is a 4-month learning program, is for facilitators and trainers to come and who've been probably in their space for 3+ years. They're growing, they're evolving their own businesses, their own personal development, their knowledge of designing workshops and delivering workshops. So when someone says to you, oh, I don't have any of that experience, what made me pause, Dani, was like, oh, have I got the capacity, the capability to show you, like, help you to go from zero to hero is a bit strong, but 0 to 50% at least. And I just felt like that I'd have to like show you everything from zero, but actually it seemed to work. So let's say, describe to people where you're at now, and then we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. So how do you describe what you do now?
At the moment, I'm an associate facilitator to 2 main companies. So I work with corporate clients a lot. I do I help out and do some voiceovers on another corporate, it's kind of associate with another company who are building their own app. So I'm the voice with them, and maybe we'll go on to do some other facilitation as well. And then I have some of my own clients, which I've managed to build up, which seems to be sitting within the creative educational sector. And at the moment, I'm learning so much from each one. I'm taking little things that I'm learning, putting them into mine, mixing them all up. And I think just getting used to what I'm doing and settling into it, and also finding a niche within that.
Nice. And that's all been in the last 3 years. So bloody well done you.
Really 2. Yeah. 2 years.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's make it even shorter. 2 years.
It's been a month, Kirsty. Look what I've achieved.
I just work so fast. Accelerate my growth. But let's go back because you and I don't mind saying how old we are, I'm sure. Because I'm 50, you're
48.
Thank you. So like to come to a new profession at 46 as you were then. Yeah, like I think that's quite big. And also to a profession that, as you've already said, like, I didn't have much or any knowledge of, let alone experience of. So can we go back to earlier in your life? What were you doing? What was going on? And what got you to that 46-year-old you and facilitation?
I was thinking the other day, and I think I know the time that I had a little click of, I can only click with this hand, little click of what I wanted to do, which I think then led me to where we are now. So I was 15 and helping out in secondary school, coaching girls tennis after, like, the PE class, but after school. And I had a sneaky suspicion that I wanted to do something in sports, and I wanted to do something with coaching or training. And the PE teachers there were great. And one of them said to me, oh, would you help that girl over there? She's struggling a bit with her tennis, with a kind of a look on her face, like, she's one that needs a bit of help. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. And chatting to this girl, and she was maybe like 11 or 12, 13. And, I was like, right, well, let's go for it. And the girl across the other side of the court, hit the ball, and then her stance was good. She's holding the racket well. The ball bounced. She went for a swing, back swing, really good. Went to hit the ball, completely missed it. Just it swings right underneath the ball. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try that again. Kept happening again and again and again. And I said, and I couldn't quite figure it out. So I just talked to her and I said, hey, just talk me through what's going on. And she was like, well, like, the ball comes and it bounces and I got my racket. And I was like, yeah, then what happens? She said, well, then I swing for the ball and then the ball disappears. And I said, what do you mean the ball disappears? And she said, well, I can't see it. And I said, oh, okay. So when does, she said, here, I see it here. I'm looking at it. It disappears and I see it again there. So I don't see the racket and the ball together. And I said, that's really interesting. Do you know why that might be? Oh yeah, she said, I have a condition in my eye where this part of my eye is blackened out. I was like, oh, where is it? She's like, here. And I said, should we try backhand? Exactly. And she said, oh, okay then. So she went backhand. I was like, right, ball came across, hit the most amazing backhand. And I said, because they were beginners, so they were just looking at, just hitting the ball to start with. And I said, has anyone here asked you that before? Do they know about your eye condition? She said, no one asked, so I never said anything. And I'm like, okay, all right. And from that moment, I was like, I was frustrated for her, because if nobody had asked her, she wouldn't have said anything. The confidence she gained when she hit that backhand, because she hadn't tried backhand yet, because you always start on forehand, right?
Yeah, always.
And this was like
yeah.
beginner session. So
Yeah.
I didn't, the confidence in her face when she hit that backhand, and then knowing that that's going to translate to anything she starts in the future, which is why I like sports coaching, whether it's, whatever you're doing in life, if you've tried to rock climb and you didn't think you could do it and you got to the top, if you couldn't do a forehand but you did a backhand, those little things you'll remember, it will stay with you, and any time in life it will just grow your confidence, which is why I love sport in that perspective. And that was, from then on, I got really frustrated if ever I was watching a coaching session, or watching now a facilitation session, or watching a guest speaker, anybody that has information to share, and I'm sitting there and I can see that person in the corner has no idea what you're talking about. This person here has nodded and said, yeah, no, I understand, but they don't. And the loud people in the room are saying, yeah, no, we know this. And the speaker moves on. And there's someone there who's kind of going, oh. And that kind of frustration that the person leading that information and leading a team is missing someone, and the knock-on effect that can have. And possibly that person who they're missing because they're not brave enough to say, hey, no, I don't understand, can you explain it again? To me, might well be the girl that I was helping teach tennis with, if I hadn't asked her about her eyes.
Amazing.
Does that make sense?
Oh,
so from then on,
absolutely.
I was like, right, sports coach. So did sports coaching, did all that, went to university, studied sports science, went traveling, came back, got sick, out of commission for 10, 15 years. Then as I was getting...
Pause.
It's not interesting.
She just skips. Oh, I was out of commission for 10, 15 years. I was ill. The listener, the watcher might be going, they're invested in you, Dani.
What?
Yeah. What kind of sick, took you out for 10, 15 years? Do you know
myalgic encephalomyelitis. That's the one.
What does that mean?
That means it's ME/CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
Yuppie flu in the 80s. It's been called so many different things. I call it ME. Yeah. Doctors then started calling it CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. It's not chronic fatigue, but we can argue over the name of it for hours. So I was diagnosed with that in the year 2000, got really sick, was not part of society at all, could not work, was on disability benefits, was in between bedridden, housebound. For 10 years. And then as every improvement goes like this, so sort of dips up and down, when it started with a positive trajectory. But this was something I was told I would never recover from. I would never get better. Nobody does. So a lot of that journey was...
How old were you?
25.
So you were told at 25, you're going to be like this forever.
You'll probably be bedridden forever.
Wow. Can I just ask, how do you process that? What was your reaction?
Yeah, quite.
Quiet.
I was really fucking angry.
Yeah.
Really angry. So I had somehow, because my mum was diagnosed first, whether it's a environmental issue, a genetic issue, nobody knows. Not enough money has gone into it to really research it properly. Right. There's so many different possibilities. But my mum was diagnosed probably 5 to 8 years before. And so I knew of it already, and I saw it, and I started getting symptoms from it. I was thinking, no. And then it was yes. And then the diagnosis came. And the diagnosis helps in some point because it gives you a name. It gives you a name to fill in a form to get disability benefits. It gives you a name and a reason to tell people. But a label or a name means nothing if there's no medicine to go with it, or the doctors can't help. And there were no ME clinics back then. My mom got sad. Her personality just got super sad. My personality got super angry. And I think it may be, I don't know whether my age was to do with that, or my personality, my tenacity. Super angry. The trouble is, when you're angry, it doesn't help anything. Wow,
I've got so many questions, but that would take us in a different direction. So you say 10, 15 years, you started to get better? Like, does it ever go away, or is it something they say you always live with and you manage?
I think we always live with it and we manage it.
Okay.
I'm managing it to a point now where I don't even know how I'm managing it, because I can't remember life before. Okay. And I'm not sure. And I think it's genetic, and I think I've always had some element of it. So I cannot feel how it feels to be in someone else's body. What I do know is that I'm living life at 100% opportunity. And yes, I need sleep. Yes, I need rest. Yes, I need, to calm my nervous system, but everybody does. So I couldn't tell you if I'm 100% better or 75 to 80% better, because I have no comparison. I have a full life again, which is amazing.
So that is amazing. And
I went through that then, like being angry, but then having to figure out very quickly that wasn't helping. Having to figure out what does help. Having to realize I'm enough, even if I'm just lying in bed. I'm enough, even though I'm not joining with society. Because the second you think you're worthless, useless, not a part of society at all, you can't get out of that. So I let's put a massive positive spin on it, and I learn an awful lot about myself and how to cope in a situation that you don't like. How to appreciate the leaves outside of the window that you can see from the tree, rather than there not being any leaves, and those small increments of appreciability. And then how I got better is a whole different podcast, but then gradually started. We'll do that another time. Gradually started to get better, and then I dipped into acting a little bit, so started doing some extra work. It was always my dream to be an actor, and started dipping into that when I could. Dipped into that more and more. Parts started to get bigger. That was great. And then I wanted some more tools under my belt, because I never studied acting. Actually, we forgot. I was a swimming instructor before I got sick. For a few years. So I did the sports instructor.
You did the sports instructor. You did that. Then you became an actor. Do you call them actor or actress, or is it just a generic?
I prefer actor, because I don't like genderizing things.
That's okay. Just curious.
Yeah, but other people have different.
When did the modelling and the music come in?
Oh yeah, so about the same time. So I was a sports instructor, which I did swimming majority of, but some like windsurfing, sailing, and rock climbing, which I loved. And then as I started navigating my way out of the ME, was doing some acting. I also picked up my guitar. I was basically like, as I'm getting better, I will not use 1 ounce of energy that's so precious to me, because it's been taken away. When I do get it back, I will not waste it on doing something that is not my dream. I dreamt of being a rock star, like actor. So like, that's what I'm going to do. Like, there's no, I'm not, so, and the beauty is that I could choose when and how to do it. If I was feeling okay, I could pick up my guitar, I could write a song. A friend of mine said, I'm doing an open mic, come perform. I was like, I've never performed in my entire life. She's like, come perform. Scariest moment of my life. I think my parents came to watch me, and my dad's like, I've never seen you white. Just, how are you feeling? I was like, I'm fine. He was like, you are white. Did 1 song, and then went back, did 2 songs, went back, did 3. That grew, so became a singer-songwriter and had a band, studied music in Brighton, again with dips in health. So I was a gigging singer-songwriter whilst doing some acting, and corporate modeling came from that. Wanted to get some tools under my belt to study it properly. I then was going through a divorce at the time, and that sort of led me to, what do I want to do? Oh yeah, I got married in the interim. but that we can skip.
That's a whole other story as well for another episode. Personal relationships and the impact it has on your work life.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole other relationship as well that had a big impact on a whole journey emotionally. But let's stick to one thing at a time. So,
okay, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I then, so I then thought, right, I'm going to start. I want to train properly with acting. So I started again at 42 doing that. So to bring us back to one of your questions, I'd already started again at 42. I'd already started again at 38 as I started to get better. My life stopped at 25. So I stopped and started so many times that starting a new journey into facilitation at 46 wasn't as big and scary as it otherwise would be for people who haven't had to start again.
Wow. That's intense though, because those are big new starts, like very fresh. Whereas I've started things, but it's always felt a progression from what I've done before. So in the corporate world, there's always like a natural progression. There was never felt like a massive shift. Yes, I changed jobs or I changed where I lived or the region, but I was always at the same company. So there was still that familiarity. I guess the big shift was when I started working for myself in 2008. But even still, I was in a space that I knew. It was just the concept of working for myself and running my own business that felt very new. And like, whoa, how does this work?
Yeah. I'm not used to a trajectory. I'm not used to a build. I'm used to, let me try this. It's not working as I'd hoped. Like I get to a certain level, say with a singer-songwriter, or a tragedy would happen in my life. I can't get back on stage again or what have you. And then, or that, something happens with your band members, that life gets in the way. I'm now going to do this. And so I'm not used to that the ladder to climb. My ladders like go horizontally.
Yeah, that's really.
But what started happening was that what this ladder was doing from sports instruction, taking it to the stage with a guitar, taking it to acting, with the sports coaching, all of those things, now I look back, built up, and it built up a skill set that now when I facilitate, I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time. So when I said to you, I don't have any experience of facilitating, true, but I have experience
holding. You explained all those other elements actually. So help others just join the dots. So what would you say are the skills, the behaviors, the mindset that you learned through your own journey that has then helped you when you've been facilitating?
The ability to create a space that other people know they have the ability to be themselves in, the ability to ask questions, to interrupt, to, it's their space. Especially with a lot of the creative workshops I do, one of the first things I say is, I'm not your teacher, I'm not your trainer. We're sitting here kind of like just equal people in a coffee shop having a conversation. If you want to sit on the floor, sit on the floor. If you want to lean up against the wall, lean up against the wall. If you want to stay on your chair, but let's get yourself comfortable. Being able to change your language so that it's understood by everyone in the room. Because you can say something and if it's not understood, if you repeat it or just say it louder, it makes no difference.
Then we do that when that's just the British talking to a foreigner, isn't it? And
talk more loudly.
Dani's Dutch, so like she can totally get this. So we just talk a little louder and slower at you. I mean, it just doesn't work. My dad used to do that in France. It was so embarrassing. Anyway. What else have you learned?
I think having the ability to walk into a room carrying a certain vibe, atmosphere, we can call it many things. We all carry a certain emotional feeling with us. And I say this to a lot of the students as well. It's like we all know somebody who walks into a room and just lights the place up. Sometimes here, you just feel it. It makes everybody smile. We also know the person who walks into the room and just sucks the air from it. Yeah. Which one do you want to be? What's going to help more? How you walk into a room. The minute someone sees you, you make snap judgments of who people are. body language, prepping yourself before you walk into a room, understanding what body language does to other people, how it makes them feel, how it makes you feel, the ability to hold people's attention, but not make it about you, being confident enough to stand on a stage and take it moment by moment and not panic about the end result. The ability for me to be able to say yes and figure it out along the way, knowing what I'm capable of, but not having to have everything pre-planned. When you learn a script and you go in, you know the script, you know the words, you know the story, you've done your work on your character. But when you go in and filming is happening, you hear the word action, you don't know what your acting partner is going to give you on the day. So you have to be reactive to that. And that could make your character say something in a different way than you've planned or you assumed or you wanted to. So it's being prepared, but being loose enough and open enough to tweak and change as it goes to make it authentic.
Definitely.
And that's the tweak. That's the, how do you stay in, I guess it's like the learning zone, right? How do you stay in that learning zone of not being overly anxious, being prepared, being safe, but also wanting to do well?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what all those things that's what I've picked up.
So all those things have helped. And that's really good. And I think this happens a lot for us, is that we start doing something or we're in a particular space and we then look back and like, oh no, I've been ready for this all my life. I just hadn't realized it. Or I've been building up to this point and I've been amassing the skills, the behaviors, the ways, the knowledge, the people. Oh yeah, this is the right time to be doing this.
No clue. Because I didn't think I had nothing. Because my CV, because you need a CV. You can't talk your way into jobs anymore. Even though I did at another job I was doing, thankfully, I got better. Let's say I got better from Emmy. I wanted a job. I needed money. We need money to pay for stuff. Yeah. My CV, there's a massive gap, and the ones that aren't a gap, it's acting and played in a band, and I thought this isn't gonna. I can't get a job anywhere. Yeah. I then started talking to people and Flourishing Facilitators was really the main point where that started, where I came in and everyone I know in a certain, but I have a massive creative industry, friends, like kind of a family unit that all creative. I don't know corporate jargon. I don't know how everyone speaks. I don't do 9 to 5. I'm not corporate. I couldn't be. I'm not built that way. So when I'm then dip into that, I don't think I have skill sets needed because my CV looks very different. At the Flourishing Facilitators course, you guys all reminded me, you told me you have a skill set. And the skill set that you think you're missing, you can learn. The skill set we want more of, you have, because you've been building that up probably since I was 15 at the day at the tennis court. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the more I've seen that and thought about it, and also on a call to you, you said, Dani, just because you think things are fairly straightforward and simple and you understand it and you do it naturally, does not mean that everybody thinks in that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was like, And the more facilitation sessions I do, the more workshops I do, the more that comes up in the room. And the more that needs to be explained and the more confident I am that I do have something not only to give informationally and my knowledge and experience, but also the way I do it. Because people can be doing stuff and the knowledge is 100%, but the way they're doing it isn't making it easy to understand.
So let's go. What happened after Flourishing Facilitator? Because at that point you didn't have any work in terms of facilitation and training. So how did you find...
I wasn't one.
That's fair. It really was. Listener, watcher, this really was 0.0 for Dani and her facilitation career. So what happened next? How did you find gigs? Like, what was your approach?
Just being me. Just talking, chatting. Obviously, the people I met at the Flourishing Facilitators, everyone is a certain type of personality. So everyone is lovely. Everybody is extroverted enough to talk and network. And so kept in touch with everybody, got the train back with Alex, who was on the course. And we chatted, and just little things that she said, oh, you could try this or try that. And, sort of make notes. Then you talk to somebody else and make notes, remember what they said. And just, I didn't have a plan. I never have a plan with anything, but my gut kind of leads me to, you should talk to that person, or do you remember that person? Talk to them. So I just do, and want this forward momentum. So I think I just kept saying hi to people and keeping in touch.
And did you use social media to help you do that?
A little bit, and I do now. So I do post the stuff I do to let people know what I'm doing. I jumped on your community pods. That was a big thing, and kind of explained who I was, what I was doing.
Yeah.
Got contacted by Kat afterwards saying, hey, I know somebody who might be looking for actors to join, do some stuff that he was doing. And I was like, great. Just said yes to every single opportunity. But the main thing that I did, I was working at a film school, and somebody came up to me and said, oh, I have a session I want to run for the MA students. You facilitate now, right? You do that now, right? I'd never done a session, but I'd done your course. Yeah. But what I'd done is I told everybody what I'd been doing and what I was doing. And I'd never done that before. Absolutely. And I don't know if it's a British thing or just a me thing. It's like, who do you think nobody asked. Nobody wants to know what you're up to. No, but stop, don't be big-headed. Don't make a thing out of it. Yes, but if you don't tell people, nobody knows.
Exactly.
Right?
And
which an American friend of mine said a few years ago.
Yeah. And so the Americans do it brilliantly, whereas a British,
absolutely,
we don't. Yeah. So one of the things I always say to people is, if you don't tell them, you're keeping your skills, your secret sauce, you're keeping it like just to you, and that's really selfish. So how are you going to help other people if this is what part of your DNA is, being in service to others, helping, supporting, coaching, growing, evolving other people? Because that's why a lot of us do what we do as trainers and facilitators. If you don't bloody tell anyone, well, how the hell don't sit there and tell me you can't find work, because you're not helping yourself. You're waiting to be done too.
I think a part of it is I'm not ready. I don't know this 100%. I'm not going to be perfect. And then just by doing a little bit of work on myself, am I self-sabotaging what's going on with me? Yes. I made a conscious effort to tell everybody, because I told everybody, and I was applying for stuff via LinkedIn that I'd never had an experience of. But it was like, well, I don't on my CV, but I've been doing this since I was 15. So actually I do. And it was that belief. So somebody came up and said, hey, you do this now, right? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And they said, would you help me run a session for like 100 MA students? And I said, absolutely. They said, great. I was thinking of doing this. I'll send you what I come up with and let me know what you think. And I don't know what possessed me, because this is not how I've ever done stuff before. I said, or I tell you what possessed me, because she's an absolutely lovely person. And I knew I could be brave enough with her. And I said, or, because I know you're super busy, I could come up with a plan for the day. I could write the content. You let me know what you think. And if you like it, we'll do it together. If you don't like it, then, nothing lost. Yeah. And she said, oh, okay, yeah, thank you. Great. And I went, great. Shit. I remember that though, because
you rang me. You rang me going,
did I?
I've got this. You were having coaching sessions with me for Flourishing Facilitator.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
You talked it through, and I was like, so what are you going to do? How are you going to scope it? I remember that really clearly. And then the after effect and the fact that it worked and it went really well. And it's back to this piece, though, when you're going for those first jobs as a facilitator and trainer. One, you need to tell people what you're doing. Two, yes, put things up on social media, but that's not enough. You need to be two-way in the social media. So it's good to go, this is what I'm up to, but you do need to go and talk to other people. It's because our presence isn't established enough when we're first starting out, I don't think.
It's being the part of the conversation.
And it's saying yes to opportunities. And as you said, the universe gifted you that opportunity because it was with someone you knew. And as you said, I felt I could be brave enough with her to say, hey, give it to me. I'll do it. And she said yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then what happened? So you did the workshop at the film school. Then what happened?
I did the workshop. I also want to say at that time, I remember having coaching calls with you, and I said, oh, there's like this voluntary role that I could go in and do, and I can, like, with younger kids in education, and I kind of like facilitate a few sessions. And you said, how's that helpful? Or why would you want to do that? How is that helping you? No, it's helpful for them, obviously. Well, how is that helpful for you? And I remember standing there going, good point, because I think I'm so used to cutting your teeth, as it were, like starting from the bottom and everything and earning your stripes to work your way up. And I hadn't realized I've been earning my stripes for decades. Yeah. So I can go straight in. I can go straight up. Yeah. I don't need, because I said to you, I said, well, because then I can practice it. True. And you were like, just go do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, so it was little comments like that, and being brave enough to just say yes to everything. Also knowing my ability, so I wasn't saying yes to stuff that I didn't think I could do. That's different. Don't say yes to things if you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
You're ruining your reputation. If people have put you in the room, you're ruining their reputation. But if you know you're capable of it, I always find it's like the analogy of driving a car and you can't see around the bend yet. But you're going to go around the bend. And when you do go around the bend, you can then see the road. Yeah. And I know that the road I'm going to see is going to be something I understand, because it's going to be within the realms of, facilitation or training or coaching. Saying yes to everything.
Saying yes to everything. And then, as you said at the beginning, you work for a couple of, as an associate trainer for a couple of agencies now. And I know both of them really well. So there was sort of just, again, connections made through the network, and I'm going to be so bold as to say through SOF's network as well.
But both were through FOS, one directly through you and one through somebody else that I met on a pod. So,
and I think that just demonstrates, for me, it just demonstrates the power of community and connection, and how important it is to find those people and to start talking and it makes me so happy when I hear that people go, and I suddenly see someone's working with one of the people that I know really well, and I'm like, oh, that is so cool that they found each other, and it's a match and it works. And I have loads of examples like that. So I think that's super important as well. I'm really curious in terms of, actually, a conversation we had before we started recording. We were talking about how we both feeling at the moment, and we were both, your answer was a bit like, meh. And we were both sort of saying, is it the weather? Is it what's going on for us personally? Is it where we're at in our businesses? And you were talking about those levels of growth and then stepping up. And I was just wondering if you'd be okay talking to that, and like, what are you noticing in that at this time about your work and where you're at in your growth as a facilitator and trainer?
I know I am so new and so green in the journey, and I'm at the beginning of the journey, because this is the journey that I'm going to hold on to wholeheartedly. And as you said, I think on Instagram a little while ago, I left you a message of how well I thought a workshop had went. And you said, Dani's gone from 0 to making it her calling. And I have, because it incorporates so many of the things that I was missing. As I love acting, but I was missing the making a difference in somebody at the time, seeing someone's face kind of go, oh, I get it. So I'm so new and at the beginning of this journey that I think every step is such like a, I did my first workshop. Wow. And it went really well. And like that buzz you get from it. And I'm just like, yes. And then it was the first workshop that I'd done, I created, and it was with my own content. It was great. And then there's doing the first workshop with as an associate with somebody else's content, and then pulling off their content, because it is different to you. Yeah. And yes, you're going to deliver it in your way, but it's not your content. So, yes, I did that. And then it was my first international one. Then it was my first full day one. Then it was my first day with senior leadership team that flew in from New York and, the biggest financial company in Canary Wharf. It's like, yes, did that. So the jumps are so big and the learning curve is so huge. And now it's beginning to not be as big a jump each time.
Okay.
And now I'm settling into it a little bit, which is great because then I won't be quite so stressed. But then I can spend some time, right, let me have a look at how I'm growing my own clients. Let me have a look at how that's going. So I'm kind of feeling it's leveled a little bit, which is great. I can breathe because these last 2 years have the learning curve has been so huge. It's almost to the point of overwhelm, but I've learned enough to not get there.
Yeah.
So now it's the word plateau is wrong. What did I do? It's leveling out. There's a nice level that the hills. I'm not climbing up a mountain anymore. I'm doing a nice uphill walk that I'm in control of. And I know what I'm doing. So it was that, like the first time I walked out of a session thinking, this is what I do now. I can own this. I'm a facilitator. Yeah. Because before it was like, can I wing this? Can I get through this? Will will anyone notice? And now I am that, and I'm capable of it, and I do that now. And the more I do, the more I love it. And now you get to that next step, but it never stops. You're not like, oh, achieved, next step. What are the next steps? So it's me now trying to figure out what the next step is, how to get there, and really be less reactive and following my gut and more businessy and cerebral in let's start making some form of a plan.
I had a thought as you were describing all of that is because someone who's leaving corporate might go, but I know how to facilitate. Like I've been running workshops internally. I think their equivalent trajectory of those first 2 years is about stepping out and running their own business, whether as a sole trader or as a limited, and getting used to sporadic income. Whereas you knew that
never had regular income
as a model, an actor, a musician. You were your own business already, so you already had experience of that. You knew what it was like to run your own bank account, to invoice, to not have the drug, the addiction to a monthly salary.
No, I have a different addiction.
Okay.
I have a different one, and my addiction's freedom. And I've never been employed permanently ever in my entire life, ever.
Wow.
And I think my addiction is freedom. The idea of feeling trapped is just, I get it. I get how that, what income you're getting every month.
Yeah.
Where's the excitement in that?
I don't know where it's coming. But people
Yeah.
listening to this who are either starting out or have been first 2 years in might be going, are you crazy? Because that's so scary, like not knowing when I'm going to get paid again and how I'm going to earn money. And that mentality definitely drives certain behavior, like the fear of the not knowing. So what it can do is I see it showing up in our space as saying yes to work we should say no to. It's panicking and trying to fill our diary, not accepting, not going, oh, you know what, I've got a week where nothing's coming in, I'm going to take that as an opportunity to work on myself or work on my business. Whereas I think what I'm saying, Dani, is you already understood that world, so your growth and mentality was your mentality was open enough to go, okay, I'm just really investing in myself right now to learn and to grow. And actually my stretch is going to say yes to workshops that I would potentially have not even thought about doing a year ago or 2 years ago. And so that was
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what workshops existed. But I did know how to say no. With acting, I've said no to acting jobs because that's not enough money. The contract's incorrect. Like, no. Even if I need that money, no. It's knowing when to say no is as important as knowing what to say yes to.
Oh my God, yes.
Knowing who to listen to is as important as knowing who not to listen to. I've never been employed. I've never known where my next paycheck's coming from. So I'm used to it. I think
Yeah.
the acting and creative world is not for everybody. The self-employed world is not for everybody.
Correct.
I did want more solidity, and I did want more financial stability. I had for quite a few years. And I think this is my halfway mark, because as a facilitator, believe it or not, I'm more financially stable than as an actor, than as a corporate
Really?
model, than as a voiceover artist. Yes. And I'm still
Oh,
doing all
wow.
those things. So I will do, a workshop on a Monday, a voiceover on a Tuesday, some admin on a Wednesday, go into teach acting on a Thursday, do another workshop on a Friday. That's how I love my weeks to be. It's all in different places, meeting different people, doing different things, but it is all under the umbrella of coaching or facilitating or performing.
Nice. Wow.
And they're different things, but there's a similarity between them. And also, it's if I don't know where it's coming from, guess what that makes you do? It makes you get out of bed and find it.
Yes. You have to go and find it. You can't wait for it to turn up, and we find it in different ways. Ah, Dani, what a story! Like from where you were at 25 to where you are now at 48. Thank you for sharing that. And I am pretty sure there'll be people listening to this who can relate to different parts of your story and the experience of maybe an illness, the sort of rising up a phoenix every time, doing new things, and then the experience you've had coming into facilitation and training and your learning experience. Now, at the end of the podcast, I do some quick fire questions. So I'd like to ask you some more
I
questions.
need prep.
Okay.
I need a script. I don't do quick fire stuff, Kirsty.
No,
Let's go. Hit me.
I'd like to take it from inside. What right? Well, this is fresh. See, you can do this question, I think. Okay. What advice would you give to someone starting out?
As we've just discussed, talk to absolutely everybody you know who might have something to do with it. Be prepared if you're going on your own. Use any potential things that might be scary and a wall, and flip them as they're exciting. It's exciting. I don't know where my money's coming from. It's exciting. I don't know if I can pay rent this month. It means I'm not stuck in a room.
Yeah.
Employed, not, I can go for a 6-month journey tomorrow. I could book a flight right now and go for 6 months. I won't, because I know what I'm doing, but it's my decision. I've chosen that.
Nice.
Yeah, look at, I guess it's that growth mindset, right? Yeah. I will, I don't know how, but I will. If my gut tells me I'm on the right path and I should be doing this, listen to it and go for it. Figure out the rest as you go along.
Love. Okay, who do you follow in social media land that you think others should know about?
SOF, Kirsty Lewis. Obviously. And if you don't, what's
I feel a bit embarrassed. Who else?
No, but I think you're the number one, because through you, I've then followed other people that have all stemmed from you. You were like the core, you were like ground zero, and everything that I've learned or people I've connected with or jobs that I've got have come through you. So SOF, and then just follow the thread where whoever it's in SOF, the meetups that we do, the gatherings, keep in touch. It's keeping in touch with people there. But I couldn't find a place or a space to go for information that had a community feel. And someone gave me your name and I contacted you, and it has all stemmed from that. And I think that's your whole reason of having it. You didn't have it. Most of us don't. And especially being self-employed, even as an actor, I know other actors, but there's not always places to go. And you give everybody a space with like-minded people. And as you said before, if people aren't like-minded, they don't kind of stick around for very long. So the people that we are
so like one another.
Yes, and
another question. Sorry, another question. How have you invested in yourself or your business to help you move forward?
This I need to do more. I've invested in myself by trusting myself, by being brave, by saying yes. Sometimes I've walked into a room and I have no idea how I got into that room. As I'm pushing the door open, I'm like, holy shit. And I walk out of that room, yes, because I was brave enough to walk. Just be brave.
Yeah.
Being brave. I've said no to stuff and created time to let stuff come.
Nice.
I really should be doing my low paid backup job now to make sure I can scrape rent. Not now, but generally to make sure I can scrape rent if I have nothing coming in. And I've chosen to take some days off to sit and to work on my facilitation plan or give space. And I've given space and I've had calls come in. And suddenly I have a full day of doing calls and being paid for that, and stuff happens. So creating my own space and talking to people.
Amazing.
As you said, what you were like, you've rinsed your network, and I was like, oh, no. Purely because to me, no, my creativity and our language, we do not rinse networks. And from, I guess, like the corporate side, it's rinsing a network. And I was like, no, I haven't done that. That sounds quite vulgar. It's exactly what I did, but that in my head, I worded it differently, because what's networking? It's just talking to people. But exactly. I did. Everyone I knew, I kept in contact with. But because they came through SOF, I wanted to, because they were nice people. I was never using anybody for information, if that makes sense. It's a different thing.
But I think it's really interesting because often when people talk, they answer that question, how have you invested in yourself? They see it as a financial investment. But what you're saying is, I've given myself time to do some research. I've given myself time to talk to others. And that is a way of investing. I love that. Final question. Do you have any books or podcasts that you'd like to recommend to others?
Oh, probably, but on the spot, no idea.
That's okay.
I know the stuff that I've read, but again, it's over the last few decades that have just, I would just say anything that helps you understand you and will enable you, depending where you are on your journey, to be brave and to realize if you're self-sabotaging, to realize why you're not being more proactive, to understand why you haven't told everybody what you're doing. Because if you're excited about it and your gut's telling you to do it, why aren't you talking to people? And if that is because I wasn't brought up to scream and shout about myself, or I'm worried people think I'm egotistical, or find out why it is and then stop doing that, whether it's a therapy book, whether it's a book on growth mindset, whether it's a friend that you can talk to, or a family member that goes, oh yeah, you do that. A therapy, do some therapy on yourself to make sure you're not getting in your own way.
Nice. Dani, thank you so much for being my guest today on the podcast. It was really great to hear your story and for you to share it with other people, not just me and the Flourishing Facilitator group that were together. Come back another time and tell us how it is all going for you.
I will. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And just even the fact that, I got to be a guest on here is exciting. So thank you. I love that. I appreciate it.
You said yes.
I said yes.